our attention for the last few weeks. I think the start date that everybody is using for this particular phase is February 28, 2026. That is when the United States and Israel launched a coordinated attack on Iran. Of course, the history of this region goes back for many decades, but for the purpose of this discussion, we're using what has transpired, particularly in the last 2 months or so. Why is this conflict so important? Why are we paying attention? And why has Asia society decided to bring this to Kolkata? Of course, simplification of what is going on is always a little risky, but let me at least put the significance of this region in 4 buckets. First, of course, is the sheer importance of the region in terms of geopolitics and security. We have 3 major players, the United States and Israel and in Iran, which are in military conflict. We also have 2 other countries, and then of course we have Gulf countries, the 6 Gulf countries: Saudi Arabia, Qatar, UAE, Bahrain, Kuwait and Oman. So that's already 5 plus 6, that's 11. And then you have countries which are overtly or some covertly supporting what is going on, right? So there are major players like China and Russia, perhaps some countries in Asia like Japan. And of course, then there's one country in our neighborhood, Pakistan, who has found a role for itself. So you can imagine why this region is so important for us to have a clear understanding of what is going on. The second bucket is geoeconomics. The implications for the world economy, Indian economy, regional economy. I think you've all been reading the papers, so you know the importance this region has for energy, crude oil, natural gas, agricultural products, ammonia, urea, chemicals, sulfur used in batteries and electric vehicles, petrochemicals, plastics. I think some of you may be engaged in these industries here in Kolkata. Critical minerals, aluminum and graphite. There have been stories recently that Diet Coke cans are not available anymore because there's a shortage of aluminum. Anyway, that seems to be an elite problem, but there are far more serious problems. And then we have helium, jet fuel, and so on, and the list is very long. Can you imagine that on February 28, 2026, there were 120 ships passing through the Straits of Hormuz every day, of which 50-60 of these were tankers with petroleum products. By March 4, that number had become 0. And the implications of that is being felt around the world. The third bucket is a changing nature of warfare. You might have seen how drones are being used in missiles and missile shields, and how air warfare has transformed. And then the conflict seems to have now moved into the maritime domain. One country giving a blockade, but another country countering with another blockade. But there's one more aspect in the security domain that we will talk about today, which is the assassination of the Iranian leadership. There have been close to 50 leaders in Iran that have been assassinated in the last 2 years. That's just a number that we know of. And these are not foot soldiers. We're talking about very senior leaders in military and in government. And finally, the fourth bucket is on people. The direct impact on people, of course, in the region, on Iran and Gulf, but also the impact we feel here in India because of petrol prices might go up, fertilizer prices might go up. And then we have citizens, we have a diaspora in the region, we have seafarers. We don't often talk about the seafarers as much, but we have Indians who are on the merchant vessels which are currently stuck. So these are the four areas in which you can imagine why this area is so sensitive and so important for India. I hope we can use the next 60 minutes or so to decode some of these issues. I don't think we are trying to predict what is going to happen tomorrow. That's a tall order. but we at least want to understand what are the geopolitical implications, the geoeconomic implications, and implications for Indian foreign policy. In our chief said that Kolkata crowd is known to question, argue, and engage. So I hope you will do that when your time comes after 60 minutes. The floor will be open. Please prepare your questions, and you're welcome to ask any of the panelists. What I want to do today first is I'd like Stanley to really bring us up to speed. There's so much happening actually by the hour. Can you take the first few minutes to just bring us up to speed? What is happening with the ceasefire? Is the ceasefire still in place? Are we respecting the ceasefire? Has anything happened today that we should know? Has anything happened in the last hour that we should be aware of?
Thanks, Akshay.